Attempt 1. Hello everyone, my name is Qshiv, and today I'm going to be starting a new series on my channel. I know my channel's been pretty quiet for a while, but I finally have an idea for what I want to do with it. This series is what I'm going to call The Elder Scrolls Arena Pistol Starts. The term pistol start originates from the Doom community, and it's essentially used to describe playing levels with the default starting position. In Doom, this would be just having a pistol and 50 bullets with 100% health. In Doom, this is actually how you restart every level in the game if you die and don't have a save to load, so every level was designed to be beatable with that in mind. In the Elder Scrolls Arena, the only level you can play from the default starting position without modifying game files is the Imperial dungeons, so the levels very definitely were not made to be beatable under these conditions. But that is exactly what I intend to do. Now, since the Imperial dungeons are going to be almost identical to a normal playthrough here, I'm essentially going to use this first episode as a kind of guide for just getting through the Imperial dungeons, because I know a lot of people tend to struggle with that. But I'm also going to describe a few of the kind of self-imposed rules that I will be using for this challenge. The first thing is I'm going to go for all of the kills, but I'm going to put an asterisk there for two reasons. The first reason is Arena does not have a kill count the way that a lot of first-person shooters made around this time would. So it's entirely possible that I might miss some obscure enemy in some far corner of the dungeon, and I am okay with that. I don't need literally 100% kills. The reason for it, and you'll see this as the series goes on, is there are a lot of advanced techniques that are mandatory for this challenge to even be feasible, but those advanced techniques could also be used to straight up skip a lot of the challenges from this. I don't want to skip the challenges, I want to overcome them, even if I have to use techniques to make the otherwise impossible possible. And that is why I'm going for all the kills. The second thing that requires me to put an asterisk next to that is enemies respawn when you change floors in this game. And I'm not going to bother myself with killing respawning enemies if I don't have to. I'm only going to bother myself with killing all of the enemies in my first pass through a section or a floor. The other thing about this is I'm not going to be using any saves, so it all has to be done in one perfect run. This is going to make some of the dungeons very, very grueling. I haven't pre-recorded these, at least not particularly far ahead. I know I'm going to be doing Stonekeep next on the same day before this goes up, but you know, other than that, like, I don't really know how the series is going to go. I can reasonably guess which dungeons are probably going to be a lot harder than others. Like, Temple of Agamanus is going to be a nightmare to start, for example, but if I can get past that initial hurdle of the first room, like, it might end up being an easy dungeon despite the high number of hellhounds, you know, things like that. We're making it up as we go, essentially. So, just to increase the challenge, I'm going to be picking the worst class in the game here, Burglar. What would be a good name? Aaron Heibel. There we go. And I'm also going to be picking... I wouldn't say there's like a single worst race gender combination in this game, but if you're playing as a specific class, you can definitely pick ones that would be really bad for it. And female high elf mixes very poorly with Burglar, so I'm going to be using that for this playthrough. And, you know, if you're maybe having some trouble with the Imperial dungeons, this will show you that, you know, even with a bad character build, you can absolutely get through it. The Imperial dungeons are more of a test of your knowledge of the basic game mechanics, rather than how good of a character you have made. In later levels, I will absolutely be taking these stats seriously, but for the Imperial dungeons, I'll just plug it all into personality. Why not? And then finally, what face are we going to use? I won't necessarily be showing like all of that every single time. I'll probably fast forward it in a lot of later dungeons, but just to give you an idea of everything that's going on here. Toggle pixelation. Yeah, I'll just show you that whole process one time. So if you're having trouble with the Imperial dungeons, the first thing I want to say is I highly recommend actually going through all of the Dungeon 4. Because it's actually a really good place to level up and get some decent starting loot if you're struggling. The other thing I recommend is you can always come back to the starting cell and rest on top of this platform. The game even straight up tells you that these platforms, these raised platforms, are safe. There is a reason that's not necessarily obvious, and I will show you why in a moment. And it has to do with the way this game handles enemy spawning. You'll notice that you never fight the rats and the goblins at the same time. And there is a reason for that. It is because Arena can only handle one enemy type at a time. In fact, if I go to rest here and I rest for 0 hours, you'll see the rat corpses disappear because I was resting, and whenever you rest, the game deletes all of the bodies so that it can load the next enemy set, in case you get ambushed or something. This usually isn't a problem throughout most of the game, but the tutorial dungeon specifically is designed in kind of a bad way that causes goblins and rats to appear right next to each other, and that can give the illusion that these raised platforms still aren't safe and that you can still get ambushed. That is not the case. These are not ambush enemies. These are set enemies that are supposed to spawn there. It's just that the goblins are getting in the way until you rest. So, when in doubt, retreat to the starting cell. And then if you have killed both the goblins and the rats in an area, the raised platforms will be completely safe to rest on. It seems a lot harder than it actually is. Once you understand the basics of how it works, it's really pretty easy. So again, just always retreat if you have to. Make sure you keep healing up. And remember that sometimes you'll have to kill 2 packs of enemies that are different types before you can actually rest in an area. That's pretty much it for any sort of like guide or tutorial for getting through the starting dungeon here. Now, an obvious thing you may have realized from all that is that you can definitely get surprised by enemies coming behind you if you go far enough away from the bodies that the game despawns them. And then, all of a sudden, like, that rat that wasn't spawning before will spawn. I can actually show you an example of it right here. I know this right here, when I rest, the goblins will despawn and the rats in front of me will spawn. Just like that. But now that that rat is dead, I can rest here all I want. I could rest for 99 hours if I wanted to, and nothing would ever spawn. Other than that, like if you find an enemy like on a ledge like that, or if they're stuck behind a wall or something and can't pathfind around it, it's a good idea to try and inch your way around it. Or inch your way closer to the enemy, because your attack range is slightly larger than the attack range of enemies when it comes to melee attacks. So you can use that to basically get some free kills. Obviously, when you're level 1, level 2, just starting out, not in a particularly strong position, free kills are a really nice thing to have, but you can use this throughout the entire game. Yep, and there's that enemy coming from behind because rats were preventing it from spawning earlier. Bracers. Hell yeah. Fireballs aren't particularly useful in here. They're mainly nice to have for like selling them to shopkeepers later on. Again, you can get some pretty good loot from these dungeons. You don't even necessarily have to like re-roll the first pile. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn up the detail here real quick because my settings can absolutely handle it. Where is that rat at? One thing I will note, because I've seen some people get stuck on this, just hold the forward key to climb up this and you can attack while climbing up. Because a lot of people, there will be an enemy like right there in front of the ledge, and the enemy will keep knocking them off because they don't think to attack until they're already standing, and they fall back down. You don't have to do that, just hold forward the entire time and keep attacking. Back here, I'll even show you. Just like that. Guy behind me? Nope. He's definitely in front of me. Other than that, check your mini-map, or not your mini-map, check your map very often, because it will show you hidden doors for completely free. You may see me use the camp option frequently, even when I'm not intending to rest. It's because it also just doubles as a really effective enemy detector. Because when you have enemies nearby, it gives you that message. And it's honestly just really handy to have that. Now, you can get hit through that corner right there because walls don't actually completely block enemy attacks because it's all radius based, right? Usually a wall is enough to accomplish that. But when the distance between you and the enemy is less than 1 block thick, the wall ain't gonna do crap. You're just getting hit. You see, terrible stats, terrible class, and I'm getting through it just fine. The starting dungeon is not nearly as tough as many apocryphal counts would have you believe. Now, where was that enemy that was preventing me from resting here? It's probably up here. Nope, that's rats. Is there a secret door somewhere here? Nope. Yeah, so you hear that sound? In every main quest dungeon in this game, and even some randomly generated dungeons, there will be certain blocks that are scripted to just play idle noises whenever you walk past them. Nice, 1 gold piece. Thank you, game. Usually they're just ambient sounds, but on rare occasions, they will be sounds designed to mess you up. Like that sound I just showed off right there. That sounds exactly like a secret door opening. Something that could very easily mess players up, and they just put it right there in the tutorial dungeon just to mess with you. No idea what that mark does. That's another fireball. See, there's more of that game can only spawn 1 enemy type at a time. But in general, it's actually... this dungeon isn't nearly as intimidating as it seems. You can definitely do this. You can handle it. As for the series itself, obviously you can see from the listings on my YouTube channel that I am going to be releasing the Stonekeep video from the series immediately after this one launches. But what you can generally expect is videos on the series once a week. That's what I'm going to shoot for. I cannot promise I will be able to meet that, but I will try. I am a very busy person, and some of the dungeons will be quite grueling in terms of both length and difficulty. So if I miss a Saturday, I miss a Saturday. But I will try my very best to do once a week. That does mean I'm sometimes going to record ahead, you know, like if a dungeon doesn't take me particularly long, or if I find I have more free time than I thought I would. Try to record like 2 dungeons on the same day. That way I can stay ahead of it, because I do expect some of the dungeons to take a rather long amount of time for me to be able to beat. Temple of Agamanus, I'm looking at you. That's 5. Huh, 2 5s. What does this crystal do? Crystals. That's the general schedule I'm aiming for. I may try to do more content on this channel as well. Oh, that crystal just locked to this door. This series, and you can probably, if you're very familiar with this game, you can already tell. This series will be on the 1.07 patch of the game, sometimes referred to as the CD Deluxe version. There is a specific reason for this. It's because in the 1.06 version of the game, the game crashes if you attack with your fists. I don't know why. I also don't know why it's fixed in the buggier 1.07 version. But being able to attack with my fists is pretty essential because I may not always have a suitable weapon for attacking things like iron golems or fire daemons or other such cretins who are immune to ordinary weapons. But your fists can overcome any immunity an enemy may have. So if you need them as a final, last resort, they will work. Alright. I'm just going to do a clean sweep of this dungeon real quick to make sure I got everything. I will probably just fast forward through this part. But there we go. That's why we do a clean sweep. Where's this goblin even at? Goblin these nuts. That was terrible. Might be in that center room that's unexplored. There, from the water. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. And I'm doing it less in this first episode, but you'll see as the series goes on, I will absolutely fast forward through certain sections in this game just to save you guys some time, because a lot of it can be, you know, a lot of the same, just scouring through the dungeon floor to make sure I got everything, or maybe grinding for a particular result. That'll definitely become necessary as the series goes on. Character creation. God, if I didn't start to skip through that, you guys would get sick of it by probably the third episode. But you know, whenever something pertinent comes up, obviously I'll halt the fast forwarding then. Die, bozo. Yeah, that's just how this is gonna go. Fast forward. Alright. I think that concludes the clean sweep of the dungeon. I think I got everything. Let's see what city we end up in this time. Silverwood. Alright, that's the end of episode 1. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you shortly